All right, I don't know what's scarier here. This latest news of a massive cyber attack affecting all of these institutions from Shell Oil, Department of Energy, the Office of Personnel Management, University of Georgia, Johns Hopkins, or the fact that it gets sort of like a shrug shoulder reaction. We don't know all the culprits behind this. We suspect it's coming from Russia, or at least a group connected to Russia. Let's get the latest right now from Leeza Garber, the cybersecurity attorney. Leeza, like I said, it's odd that these keep happening, even though they keep happening, but odder still that we generally shrug our shoulders at it now because it happens so often. What do you think?
I want us to not shrug our shoulders at this, and my hope is that speaking with you, we won't anymore. You're exactly right. This is a Cold War that has heated up for many, many years. The Russian organization behind this series of attacks has actually been around since 2018, and international law enforcement has gone after them successfully at one point, but then they go underground and they reemerge even more powerful. And they've gone after organizations in the US federal government, state government, private sector, healthcare, academia, and they're also going after many of our allies in the EU. They are dangerous, and they've taken advantage of a vulnerability in a very common piece of software. The software company is actually based in the US, but they have headquarters around the world. And unfortunately, they had a series of 3 massive bugs since the end of May that this Russian ransomware group was able to take advantage of and get into various systems.
You know what's kind of, maybe a chutzpah is a word, I can think of less politic words, but to demand ransom from the U.S. Energy Department. In other words, if you want things back to the way your computers were, you have to pay us. Now, some companies, small to large, do that. What do you tell the Department of Energy or some of these other entities, including Nova Scotia and the government of Nova Scotia, Bank of Nova Scotia, that have been sort of swept up in this?
Well, the US government policy is to never pay the ransom, right? Except the way that this specific Russian group acts, which is called CLOP for some reason, they expect millions of dollars in ransomware, and they will actually exfiltrate, steal the data, and they will blackmail the organizations with it until they pay up. And what we've been seeing on the dark web is that more and more names of organizations and federal pieces of the government and state pieces of the government are coming up on this list. Even though the US standard policy is not to pay, some of these organizations can't afford to not pay simply because they have to get back up online. And the types of information that's being stolen is inherently super private. We're talking health information, social security numbers, even banking information too. And when they're going after US government agencies, the concern is not only are they asking for a ransom, but this Russian group might be sharing that intel with the Russian government, and most likely they are.
So how do we stop it when we keep dealing with it?
This is the question. And Biden has made these very strong statements over the past couple of years. We certainly have the money and the resources. The US cybersecurity capabilities are very high, and we have been on the offensive as well. We're certainly carrying out attacks against some of our adversaries too. The question is a very delicate balance. We don't want to upset too many parts of the Russian government or the Chinese government. Think back to some of the major hacks the US has experienced, right? SolarWinds. We have the supply chain attacks that happened a couple of years ago. These are all by adversaries where we have these cybersecurity, cyber attack, wartime programming going on for years. So it's really a delicate balance not to upset it too much. But in this case, we have academia, healthcare, government agencies at state and federal level. We have to act. And it's important to have a strong stance here.
You kind of read my last question for you, Lisa. The coincidence of these attacks on what seem to be various institutions, Department of Energy, a major bank. We could go on and on to talk about a major energy concern, Shell, but that they were all targeted within a 72-hour period, I think. What's the strategy behind that, just on the part of the hacker to say we can do that, or to get them organized?
This is how strong we are. This is how efficiently we operate. They're not even sending out, it sounds like, individual messages to each of these companies that have been hacked. They're saying, check our list on the dark web, and then you have 7 days to get back to us with payment. And they're having these private chat rooms on the dark web with these companies. And the question is, how quickly can these companies get back online, can function again? And while the software company that was breached, that had these vulnerabilities, has offered guidelines and a patch, not the easiest thing to do, especially with government systems that maybe are quite a few years older. They're separated, they're segmented. You need a good team that knows what it's doing to even implement these patches.
It is scary stuff, but you've been warning us about it for years now, Leeza. Thank you very much. Leeza Garber, I'm not the cybersecurity attorney, much more